Good morning, everyone. Hello. Hi. Welcome to day 2 of World Water Week 2025, Water State and Transformations. Yes. Woo! I want to welcome today, my name is Melissa Melpignano. I'm going to introduce myself in the presentation. I want to welcome our guest artist for this edition of World Water Week, Alison Orr from Forklift Dance Works. And I want to welcome Mark Howe from the International Boundary Water Commission. And I'm a professor of dance, and what are two dance people doing with a guy from the International Boundary Water Commission? We are gonna not just explain this to you today, but we're gonna show it next Thursday in our community collaborative performance, Water Moves, with our performance. If you're a performer, yell a little bit. Yes! Woo! And today in this panel, How Water Moves, we want to explain how we created this performance that we share with you. So I'm gonna begin, and I'd love to move on in the presentation. Technology. I mean, it should go with the. Yeah, I'll just go with the mouse, not with the keyboard. Okay. So a little bit about me. My name is Melissa Melpignano. I'm a dance scholar. I'm an assistant professor of dance here at UTEP. I'm a dance researcher, and as a dance researcher, I do dance, I think about dance, I practice, I write. I'm an educator. I teach a lot, I mentor. Some of my students are here. There is a class happening right now, performance studies. And so I face every day intergenerational challenges. I face every day the challenges of introducing people that are younger than me and fresher than me to very complex issues. And I take on the challenge of preparing them to feel confident enough to face the world out there through the tools that we can share in academia. I also have administrative duties. I'm a program coordinator. I coordinate the dance program. And that means that I have a little bit of power to orient how we conceive dance, organize dance, collaborate, and establish something that is very dear to me to this conference that I help co-founding, interdisciplinarity. I'm also a writer and a translator. I don't write just academic stuff. Writing is a way for me to mobilize my body and to set into material connections my thoughts and the world. You might hear that I have an accent. English is not my first language, it's not my second language. And translating is a literary practice that I do, but it's also a mode of living. Trying to move across fields, practices, transdisciplinarity, translation, transmodalities. That's what we do here as transfronterizos people. I'm also a community organizer and a curator, which means that I try to put dance out there in the community as much as I can. I try to involve as many people in dance and performance as I can. And it means that I keep advocating for the presence of dance and performance in all spaces, public spaces, scientific spaces, conversational spaces. Everything for me is about dance and choreography and performance. And it's not a freaky thing. It's just a framework and an entry point. And I'm gonna show you what I mean by this. I'm also an immigrant. I own a passport. I own an Italian passport that gives me access to a lot of spaces. The EU passport is still a great passport to have. Here I'm an alien. And wow, that has become part of my identity. And when I think about dance and movement and mobility, I think about it as a passport carrier and also as an alien. What does it mean to think about dance? Dance is about moving bodies. What is mobility? What do we do with the work of dance and performance when we think about, for instance, borders, the movements of water? So I just want to give you an entry point into how I'm approaching World Water Week as a dance person. Um, Not being from here, I'm a guest to this land, to this community, but I've been here for almost 6 years and I've become also a host. Like we're hosting Alison Orr, our guest students from Western University, and all of the collaborators of Forklift Dance Works. And as program coordinator, I invite a lot of artists and scholars. So that there is this cycle of inter-exchange. And of course, there are a lot of power issues to deal with and hierarchies, and that's part of my job, our job, to navigate them. And I'm also a conflict engagement trainee. I've been working on conflict for a long time, and I'm studying methods to better engage with conflict, since I believe conflict cannot be avoided, shouldn't be avoided. And the picture in the background is a painting from Paul Klee, the equilibrist, the funambule. And I really feel I move like that in my job. This is one of my favorite pictures in the world. It's a map of the different movements that the Rio Grande has had throughout time. It's a picture that my friend and collaborator, Dr. Alex Mayer, shared with me 5 years ago when we started to work together. And when I think about what performance does and what performance practice does, I'm like, well, I think in performance we do what the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo does. In performance, we center corporeality, not just the body. Corporeality is a word that my mentor, Susan Foster, a dance scholar, put out there in the world to really connect us to the reality of our bodies in the world, the materiality of the body. So I'm thinking about the Rio Grande also in those terms. What is the material reality of the Rio? In performance, we think about not just how we organize bodies in space and time, but how we organize movements, how we organize structures and infrastructures. So I'm thinking about that in performance when we make dances. So you can see, like, we have a lot in common with civil engineers, for instance. Like, that's how I can collaborate with Dr. Mayer as a civil engineer and groundwater engineer. We are thinking in similar ways, but with different words sometimes. And we do it through practice and rehearsing. And this is a lot for my performance people in the room. The beauty of practicing and rehearsing is that we can make a lot of mistakes. And we can renegotiate and do it. Think about it. Does it work? Doesn't really work. Or maybe it works for some, but not for everyone. Can we find something that works for everyone? And we rehearse it. And we re-change it and we re-practice it until we find a way that works. This process is not easy. And it's made of collaboration, being together, laboring, labor. We work together, we labor together. And when we collaborate and work together, sometimes we encounter odd things. So I love performance because it's oddity. And if you're a David Bowie fan, yes, oddity is good. And curiosity. When I don't know, Ryan, I met Ryan last week and we're making dances together. And I'm curious to know who Ryan is and how you move and how you think. And I'm learning so much just by being close to you because you have a very different way of moving and communicating from me. And in the oddity of the encounter, there is the curiosity of the encounter, and we are taking risks together, and we are trying to craft something beautiful, something meaningful, that it doesn't happen harmoniously, like the movement of the Rio Grande. It's not harmonious, but it can reach harmonious moments. And so in performance, we move like researchers do through discovery and realization. And in the studio, in the rehearsal moment, in the process, we interconnect, finding all these different strategies, and most importantly, we learn how to share responsibility. Because when we carry each other's bodies, when we are close to one another, we always need to make sure that we don't hurt each other, that we think about how we feel, our needs, and what we can do to move together. So this is the entry point. In my wider research, I research conflict in the environmental settings. Hello. In healthcare, I have a project where I work with healthcare providers to see how implementing movement practices in the medical setting can prevent burnout among providers, but also among patients. And I work on conflict through dance and performance in contested lands, US-Mexico border, and especially Israel-Palestine is my main field. And my main question is, how can dance and performance help us access what constitutes livability at the planetary level, and also in relation to one another, to the creatures, the structures, the ideas that make up our world. I am here at World Water Week doing work with the International Boundary Water Commission, Irrigation District 1, Dr. Mayer, from my field of dance studies. And in dance studies, there is a huge, they call it subfield, I would say friend field of dance and ecology, dance and environment. And we are gonna get into that. I was part of the original core of the One Water cluster found by Dr. Alex Mayer and Dr. Liz Walsh, who's over there. And I'll be forever grateful to an engineer and a biologist to invite artists to be part of this project. And I always like to remember that I met Dr. Alex Mayer in this very building while it was under construction. We both had vests and helmets. We started to talk. Oh, I choreograph spaces. Oh, it's like, I choreograph spaces. I think about movement. I think about movement. And that's how all this started. I'm an educator, so I do this, trying to involve my students in everything that I do, almost everything. But to me, my students are citizens, are human beings. How can they enter the world of our communities, active agents, without like breaking the hierarchies between youth and adulthood, experts and non-experts? And so that's how we activate community collaborations. And community collaborations means to collaborate with an individual, an organization, a space, a tree. Some of my students have collaborated with trees. There, it's me collaborating with the Rio Bosque in his material presence. There, I drawn maps of the Rio Grande on me because I wanted to experience what does it mean to be a contested body of water. So I do these things. And as a researcher, I do this here. And I have the responsibility of sharing what we discover together with the larger community, whether it's in the United States or beyond. So I publish, I perform, it's my responsibility to share all this. And yesterday I shared this question because I think it's the core of our collaborative work. Why aren't we all feeling responsible for the legacy and future of water in our region? How can we all feel stewards of our waters? How can we contribute as artists and researchers to expand this sense of shared responsibility towards our water? So one example, I'm not going to get into that. If you're curious, I can share the link and the information with you later. But 2 years ago, I did a performance with my students and other community partners called Mapping the Rio. We have a performer here, actually, from Mapping the Rio. Nico, you were in the performance. And we mobilized the community to think about what the memory of the Rio might be. So what does the Rio remember of its own ancestral life? What do the people in the community remember about the presence of the Rio? These are just some of the questions. And this is a public publication, meaning that you don't have to purchase it. It's free. It's available digitally. There are textual resources, video resources, audio resources. There's also an interview with Dr. Mayer there, and various testimonies from the community. And it's so interesting to see how the knowledge of an engineer, an expert, combines and connects to the knowledge of an abuela that remembers when she was swimming in the Rio Grande when she was a kid. So what if we use these non-immediate connections, but connections that are very much present to make all of us stewards of our waters? And because of this, because of the power of performance, the potential of performance, I am that person that said, no, we gotta have dance guest artists at all editions of World Water Week. And I'm very happy that everyone in the organizing committee supports it and are actually the first big fans. This is just a list of some of the guests that we had. We started in the pandemic, and that didn't stop us. We brought in different perspectives. Del Andre is a dance artist, an activist that organizes, mobilizes community across the United States to make dances in relation to water. They do it in schools, in elementary schools. So they implement this corporeal awareness and sense of connection to water to kids, from kids to adults. Devalos Ferran did this beautiful performance on access to potable water in the Chicago area, but drawing from her experience as a member of the diasporic Jamaican community. So the connection between science, potability of water, and spiritualities. Elisa Frasson is an Italian dance artist that has been doing dances in Venice, Italy. And together we question, what does it mean to make dances in a place where water threatens every day the sense of futurity of a community, and in a land that is contested by capitalist projects that on the one hand wants to save the land, on the other hand risk to further destroy the ecosystems, the water ecosystem of the laguna. With Neri Torres, who was faculty here at UTEP, we explored the spirituality of water, and so the connection between water, land, and human bodies in the Afro-Cuban tradition. Then we invited dance scholar and dance artist Rosemary Candelario to bring a performance that she did in Denton, on the other side of Texas, at the Rio Bosque. This was 2 years ago. And we were lucky enough in that moment at the Bosque there was some water. And that's an image. But what does it mean to bring here artists to make projects like Alison that are not from El Paso, that haven't linked for a long time in El Paso? So the whole point is to create these exchanges. How non-El Pasoans see El Paso, and what can we learn from other contexts, and what can we learn about El Paso from people that are from outside. And I want to share this with you because after the performance, Rosemary Candelario was interviewed by Glass Terrier, which is a visual art magazine. And she said this about El Paso and the Bosque. We can devastate land quickly, but if we show it some care, we can also restore it quickly. Quickly, yeah, it's a slowly, quickly. And she said, I saw this at the Rio Bosque Wetlands Park. The park began a wetlands restoration in 1999. Since they've seen incredible returns of vegetation, birds, and all sorts of creatures, et cetera, there's life here now. What does it mean? That she's exporting around the world, because she performs internationally, this incredible project is the Rio Bosque Wetlands Park. So El Paso, we help El Paso also going beyond this image of, wow, the immigrant invasion. Look at the invasion around us. No, El Paso is a place where people do incredible work to restore ecosystems, where technologies develop, where people care about the destiny of their ecological system. And last year, I invited for the first time Alison, and now she's back with their whole team. Yes. Last year she came alone, and we started to conjure up, and you fell in love with the community and what the community is doing with water and water infrastructures, and like we gotta do a project together. But why do I want to do a project together with Alison? Alison, she's going to introduce herself and her work in shortly. But what Forklift Dance Works, the company she founded, does is to make collaborative performances with non-professional dancers, but with the people whose work sustains our lives. So she does performances with utility workers, sanitation workers, frontline water workers. And that's why you need to come on Thursday to see our performance. And these are the tenets of her method. How does she work? How do you work with these non-professional dancers? You start from a place of curiosity. Who are these people? What do they do? Who am I in relation to you? How can we nurture reciprocal connections? How can I listen to what you need? And how can we work together to make sure that your need is met? How can we build reciprocal trust? How can we reciprocally cultivate attention? How can we find help when we need it? Maybe we can help each other. And how can we build and get support? And how can we create together? And also, how can we stay in relationship? So we started this partnership with a lot of water institutions, including the International Boundary Water Commission, and we are here building relationship, building trust, and making sure that these relationships continue. And so I'm gonna give the mic to Alison, but you can just see from here all the different partners that we have been working with and building relationships with. So you just to mention the water institutions, International Boundary Water Commission, Irrigation District 1, Equal Paso, our own Center for Environmental Research Management, and the Rio Bosque Wetlands Park, and also the Department of Parks and Recreation of the city of El Paso. So, Alison, to you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Beautiful. Well, thank you all. And I'll just start by saying that I loved your introduction, connecting art with science, because I think if I didn't identify as an artist, I would be a scientist, Liz, right? And that we as artists and scientists connect through questions, through curiosity. And sometimes I think scientists do a lot better at failure than artists, because when the experiment goes wrong, you learn something, right? But when you do a bad show, it kind of sucks. So, but my fellow scientists out there, huh? It's gonna be awesome. Ours is going to be, oh, yes. But I would just encourage all of us to consider that arts and science in many ways are doing the same things, exploring questions. The other note I'll make is that as a community-based artist, so I have a background in anthropology and public health, and then choreography. We really believe that social change, any kind of change, really sits in relationship, and relationship is what it's all about. And so, I join a long line of community-based artists whose shoulders I stand on, who really have demonstrated again and again and again what can come through collaborative relationship. And relationship is hard, right? It's hard. It's not always easy. But so I'll just show you a little bit. The other thing I'll say is that I come from a long, really long line of Protestants. It might be, I don't know, 2,000 years, I don't know. But oh no, it wouldn't be that long because there was Reformation. But anyway, and in my family, in my family, we like to work. And so work was the way that we connected growing up. So we all had to work, and that was the way. We didn't necessarily sing songs or cook together. I don't know, did you do that? Sing songs and cook together in Italy, Melissa? You cook. We worked. We worked. So, and, so it was working outside or working inside. And so I love to work. I love to be with people when they're working. I feel like work is where there's so much ritual in work, there's so much expertise, there's so much story, and there's so much care. So in that daily work of living and of tending and of nurturing, there's so many stories. And so I feel like I get to work with the experts, the people whose work we say at Forklift really sustains our daily lives. So we've been around for almost 25 years now and are based in Austin, Texas. And we create theatrical productions and projects and performance projects that really do, as Melissa said, work with the people who with our frontline personnel. So this is a big project we did with our sanitation department in Austin. And right now, we are leading a global project called The Way of Water, where we're working in cities around the world that are confronting water issues. So in Austin, this is around our increased risk for flooding. Miami, you know what's going on in Miami, I imagine. Lots of water challenges here in El Paso and also Venice, Italy. And so I was going to show you a few photos from our recent project that we did in Miami. This was with a partnership with the Water and Sewer Department, Public Works, Office of Environmental Resource Management, the mayor, and a number of community organizations in Miami-Dade County. So this is the county. Miami's made up of a lot of little, anybody from Miami here? Anybody? Anybody ever been? Okay. It is a unique spot in the universe, just like it is here in El Paso. And so these are our water stewards. And just to kind of run you through a little, this is a piece with climate scientists from FIU, Florida International University, and wastewater personnel. We were describing how you clean a tank, you all, wipes are not flushable. They are not. Don't ever flush those wipes. And so, because you have to, all wastewater personnel have to pull them out by hand because they clog the machinery. So I'm on a mission. They're not, wipes are never flushable, but we were exploring that. And this was the finale where everybody came out together. We had close to 75 personnel from Miami-Dade and the community involved in this production that was in South Miami. And happened back in February. We're also doing a water project in Austin, engaging with youth. These are our youth interns you're seeing, watching our watershed protection scientists in a performance where they're showing how they water quality test and monitor our rivers, our creeks, our rivers. Austin is a city made up of creeks and is on the Little Colorado and water, and we're there. Austin is there because of the Colorado. For better or for worse, we built in the watershed. So this is just a few photos from performances in a neighborhood called Dove Springs in Onion Creek. And again, the idea is to center the stories of the people who I think of as experts who engage with the issue on a daily basis through their labor, and to hear their perspectives and to see their beautiful movement. And this piece also involved neighborhood residents who, this was in a floodplain and restoration. So a neighborhood that was built beginning in the late 70s in a floodplain, should have never been built there. By 1992, I believe, no, I'm sorry, 1998, I believe, a federal buyout process started to move 800 families out of the neighborhood. And we worked with residents and to help tell the story of what it was like to live here in this neighborhood, and it is now becoming really an urban wetland in restoration as the homes have been moved. Oops, wrong way. And then Melissa said, talk about Venice. So the Venice Project, I lived and worked in Venice after I graduated from college for one of my favorite professors, and then he helped me go back, and I did a project with gondoliers, who I don't know if you know much about, but don't collaborate a lot. And so I worked with 8 gondoliers to do a performance back in 2003 called the Gondola Project. And this is Marco. We're going over choreography, and Andres. And we did a performance in the Canale della Misericordia that really, again, showed the expert movement of this historic boat and what it meant to the community for Venetians by Venetians, which is something that doesn't happen much, as we know, in Venice. So currently, we're working on a project exploring water in Venice as a city, again, that is confronting many, many challenges and has lots to say. So I think that's what I would say to you all. You here in this part of the world, you are water experts. You've had to be water experts, right? And you have a really vital and important story to tell the rest of the world, just like Miami does. And just like Venice does, about what you're figuring out to adapt and live here. And so our performance, hopefully, is going to celebrate that and honor that. And certainly acknowledge that. So here are some of your performers. Raise your hand if you're in the show on Thursday. Come on, come on, come on. And so we've brought together a group of students from Wesleyan University, where I teach in Connecticut, and UTEP students to collaborate together, along with some spoken word and the UTEP Chorale, and of course, Mountain Movement Dance Company, directed here by Michelle, who are UTEP graduates. And we have some water experts. I don't think that any of them are in the room, but we also, our performer scientists are not here right now. But in a minute, I hope we hear a little more from the students who have done some amazing ethnography over the past week. So part of the process at Forklift is to show up in your jumpsuit and get to work. And so we've been job shadowing as best we could, getting to know more about your infrastructure here. We started with a visit with the it's your irrigation work, but it's called the Improvement District 1. And then also worked in the Bosque with Sergio, helped to clear out a beaver dam. And here we are. I think this is a few, if I can make it go. Oh, no, I can't. Uh-oh. Technology. Here we are. No? It's always good if I'm not running the slides. Yeah. So there's a little video of us working. We're doing the hard work here. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. You can imagine that it was hard. We slept well that. And then Mark and his team from the IBWC hosted us too. Rita's here as well, where we got to go and get an up close look. How do I do view? Anyway, Melissa, can you make it full screen? Yeah. Okay. And so, students, I hope if there's a minute, you can talk a little bit about your reflections, learning from Mark, Seth, Rita, and Ishmael this week when we got to actually go across the border. We got to cross the river and go over to Monument One and hear more about the opportunities and the challenges that the IBWC faces. And then lastly, we got to work and hear from Andy Everett and her uncle Alex. We were going to go to Hueco Tanks on Friday, but with the wind, we didn't go, and so we met with them at your archaeology museum. And I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but there's a photo of us there. So, oh yes, and Fernanda, who works with Echo El Paso. We were supposed to plant trees on Saturday. Well, couldn't go plant trees in 50-mile-per-hour winds, so we learned from Fernanda some, and there'll be more. So just that all of this kind of listening, I would say it really starts with listening to the experts, being curious, and then reflecting back what we hear through collaboration is what we're doing with you all this week. And I think that's probably enough from me. And we'll turn it over to Mark to hear, right, Melissa? I think that's my last slide. Okay.
Well, I have a tough team to follow. Um, Yesterday I'm a little sunburned. I was out in the sun for 3 hours yesterday. I see a lot of people here that were out there for a booth. I brought a couple books in that you can see that talk about the agency and my own book. I'm also a graduate of UTEP, master's in history. Melissa, yep, Allison's book. And I always start. How many have ever heard of the IBWC before? Okay, yeah. Well, a few people. And that's it's interesting because even the people who grew up here don't know all the stuff of who we are. And so what I do is I do the cultural resources. That's the archaeology, history, and then I do environmental. And we had a great time out there last week. Yes. I thought you were gonna have a picture of us going through the river. We actually took the group through the river between the railroad bridges. And if you think about some of the stuff, some of these pictures I'm going to show you in a little bit are quite interesting. And Melissa's first picture of the river and all the different, remember that picture, okay? Because that's how the river looked like before many of our projects we did under the New Deal. And that's what I talk about in my book. So, oh boy, how do we get rid of that little thing up there? So with that, okay, and of course I got something on the bottom that'll show up later on anyway, so the mission of us is working with Mexico. We're a binational commission. We work directly with Mexico, SILA, and we work on a lot of different projects. So this is the area we cover. And you can see here from San Diego, California, all the way to the Colorado River, not the one as Allison was talking about, the other one. And then down the river in the Colorado, and then it cuts across over to Arizona, and then part of the Gadsden Purchase, and then over to El Paso. But we also go upriver. So as you see that dam up there, Truth or Consequence, Elephant Butte Dam. Purchase Dam is where we start on our canalization project. And that goes south, and then that ends over here, just downriver, over by the railroad bridges. And then you have the rest of the river, and then you see the different aspects of it going down with rectification. And then you can see in red, the rest of the river going down about 1,255 miles of the Rio Grande that we share with Mexico. And guess how many people I manage for what I do in the cultural resources and history? Guess. Yeah, me. So I'm always busy. Yes, too much to do. Let's see now there we go. Okay, so I have a lot of slides with a lot of words and stuff, but what I wanted to do was when Melissa said, hey, talk about art, talk about how things connect. Oh. And so what you see on here is the treaties. If I can make sure I move this, okay. And it talks about more, this is still from our page of what we do. Operation, maintenance, international storage, dams and reservoirs and plants, hydroelectric power, regulation of the Colorado River, and levee and floodway projects, levee and floodways. Remember that. solution of border sanitation and other border water quality problems, preservation of the Rio Grande and Colorado River as international boundary, and demarcation of the land boundary. There we go. So what I have on here, some of the different things that's talking about. These are treaties. Now, we were formed after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. And then the Gadsden Purchase, as you saw, southern part of Arizona and New Mexico. That's where the river or the border was moved south. And the Convention of 1882 that talks about this in the Barlow Blanco surveys of the land monuments that go from El Paso all the way to San Diego. And then the Convention of 1884 for the meandering rivers, as Melissa was showing in her pictures, from one bank of the river to the other, the Rio Grande, the Colorado Rivers border. And it's important to look at this stuff because of what we have. I'm trying to go fast because we have other people to talk about. And well, I'm going to show you some pictures you haven't seen before. Now, this is a picture from 1921 from El Paso Today by one of our engineers. He wrote a book on this. And hopefully I'll get this published soon because it's quite interesting. And this is looking, if you look at the river today, you go down there, you see the concrete portion of the river. That's the boundary. But it used to go further south. Where if you go into Juarez, you see all the soccer fields. That used to be the river. That's what this is. And this is from 1921, and that's a gas plant. You're looking northwest. So you see Mount Crystal Ray up in there, and the Franklin's off on the right. So this is has always been a change. The river has always been a change. And because there's always changes in the river, we have changes where we see in our treaties or conventions, like the Convention of 1889. The Monterey, the Bancos. Bancos were where the river would shift from a hurricane, 1910, Lower Rio Grande. A hurricane came in and the river used to go like a piece of spaghetti like this. Now it went like this and the border changed. So Bancos is where they went in, they marked the new border. So today you're in Mexico, tomorrow you're in the US. So they had to rechange the border on that. Then in 1906 is another treaty, the equitable distribution of the water. That's where we have American Dam, where we have a certain amount of water goes to Mexico. That was built in the New Deal. And then the convention of 1933 was rectification project. And that's the one that's just south of here from the Chamazal going all the way down the river over into Hudspeth County. And that's where we changed we took the river and we changed it. Now, one thing we did was we took the group over to Monument 1. This is what it looked like back in 1911 during the Mexican Revolution. I'm trying to, it's hard to see some of this. There we go. So Monument 1, so we took them over there, across there. Now that footbridge is gone. That was taken out in 1938 when they put American Dam in. But if you go down today, you notice I'm gonna try to see if we can. You go down there today, you'll still see the cement plant, the railroad bridges, but this whole area is all completely developed. And this is Smelter Town. Remember Smelter Town? And then, of course, what you have is the river flooding. These are pictures I found in our archives. This is how the river looked in 1925. And this is a publication I need to finish up. This is from September 1st, 1925. That's almost 100 years ago this year. And I got to publish this stuff. But that's the old Stanton Street inspection station looking back. And this was a flood event. Huh? Yeah, that was the port of entry there. But remember, that's gone. That was where they had bath riots and stuff at that time. So this is what we're looking at, the river stuff. It's our piece of art. Our piece of art is the treaties and the stuff we have and how we change it. So you see the stuff you're working with here, it's also a piece of art. And what do you have also with that? Let me get this down so you can see that.
That's your choreography, Mark.
Yeah. Changing, that's a little bit of art here, changing this. So what was another piece of art? Photographs, changes of time. you look at stuff. So when I do archaeology and stuff, I don't look at the houses and stuff. I look at the background, the mountains, see how that changes over time. So you see in this picture, this is from the 1920s. These gentlemen took pictures of what we see here. So UTEP is right here. Old Main and that's still there. But this is what it looked like at that time. And Harts Mill, Old Fort Bliss is straight west of us, right down by the river. And we went down there. You guys had a good tour down there. And, and I was hoping if we didn't have construction going on to take us over to International Dam through the border fence, but we got to go through the river. So that was a good one. And so downtown El Paso, as you can see how the river is in the bottom photo, how it changed over time. So, but El Paso's grown up a lot of what you see. And so another thing is Monument One in Smelter Town here. Smelter Town, we have our offices out there by American Dam. You go by the railroad bridges, you'll see it's just an open area, but it used to be thousands of people living out there who worked up on the hill at the Sarco smelter, which is gone now. And just to the left of that is where I-10 goes and the border highway. That's all up there now. And then that main street to the left, just off to the right of the smelter, that's Paisano. So when you drive down there, now you can get a completely different view of what you're looking at out there. So this is all defined what the river is and what we have and what we see today. And remember when I told you guys when we were down there, how you see everything? That's the landscape, how it was. It was flat because it's all now elevated and filled in. And so you're looking here, also another picture of, this is all gone because they took it out for the border highway. But you can see UTEP, the buildings for UTEP in the background there. So that was here. I mean, I remember, I think this used to be a dormitory that was in this building, in this area. They tore it down and built all this new building. And, change, of course, we do a change, and I hope UTEP doesn't tear down the old buildings, because as a commissioner of the El Paso County Historical Commission, we said, no, don't be doing that, because you got the history of UTEP here. So this is all changed down there by International Dam. So look at this. So when you drive down that area, you're going to see how it's changed by art. And then the landscape is developing, and this is down over in that area that's straight to our west. Okay. So this is how it looked like at that time back in the 1940s when they're putting in International Dam that goes across. You'll see a picture. I took Google Earth, but it shows that area. And then here's a picture from 1989 of how the area has been growing. Now the area south of the Mount Crystal Ray, that area has been growing in Anapra. And so we have to look at the art of what we see on the borderlands, how things grow, how things are moving. And the questions is how can the border become art in the use of water and urbanization on the borderlands? Because it's constantly changing. So this is the best picture I could find. Google Earth, looking over there. And when we went down there, I showed them a picture. The bottom one you see, this is from the 1930s. And the arrow's pointing on the left. The bottom picture, that's a hillside. That's still there, the geology of the hillside. And there's that picture there. The whole area is developed. They've actually, in Mexico, have built into the arroyo. And so this is what you see in the background. That's a huge arroyo that's down there. And it's all been completely urbanized. And so what's the one factor we have that's still there? The river. The river is still there. The river continues on. It's art of presence and place. And that's it. So just want to leave you with that. Thank you.
And this, I think, makes very clear how we can choreographically think together to really think about the material presence, past, present, and future of the Rio in our region. But now, Alison, I want to give you the mic to facilitate the next.
Yes. Well, before we've got a special guest, and we're gonna do a little movement. So here's your chance to run screaming from the room right now. Okay, everybody's staying good. Okay, so because we thought it would be important to move together a little bit and give you a little preview of what's coming on Thursday. But before we do that, so we've spent these now a good week together, learning from you all. You're water experts, with the intention of reflecting some of that back. Of course, typically, I would work with the community for at least a year before I would ask to share anything. 2 weeks is short, Michelle, right? But do you have questions for the students? We've got students here from Wesleyan and UTEP that have been part of this process. And what questions might you like to ask them if they've spent a week together coming from all over the world to study water here in your region? Who's got a question for students? Come on, y'all. There. Oh, go ahead, Mark, and then we'll go to you. Yes.
I think I asked you this before, but you come from an area where you have a lot of water. And now you've come into an area where you don't see a lot of water. And one thing I remember I asked you, I said, well, do you guys remember one thing you don't feel? Humidity. So how do you feel about that? Because next week when you go back, you're going to have that humidity again. So how do you feel about that?
This one might work.
There's this one here. Does this work? Oh,
Does this
that one
work? Yeah. Okay. Um, I think this is my first time like ever on a plane or like out of the East Coast. So I think my preconceived notions of the South was obviously like it's gonna be really hot and humid. So when I got here and you said that, I was like, oh, okay, period. Um, I think so it's been nice to kind of get to work with these experts and really kind of apply that to movement and kind of seeing how that looks like on my body and with my fellow dancers here. And I think working with the UTEP students has been amazing, and I could say we're all friends, so that's nice. Um, but yeah, I think that's my experience. I don't know if anyone else wants to share, but it's been amazing, and I can't wait to just have everyone see what we've been working on and all the work that we've been doing, put to the test. And yeah, so that's my experience.
Question right here, and then we'll
Yeah.
go to students. Yes.
Thank you, Alison. This is new for me.
Maybe I can answer.
Where? Yes, thank you. Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm a dance faculty. Dr. Melissa invited me and also my class here to learn and to also create community. And my question, well, I have two, but Dr. Him won me one question about how do you feel about the process, observing and studying and creating together relate to this process of the water? Like, how do you feel as human beings, as performers or researchers? And also, if your perspective change or remain the same from the beginning to the end, before, after?
I feel like talking from my own experience, I think coming from the East Coast where we obviously don't have the water issues that we have here, I think in hearing from people's experience about, you know, having water insecurity, and I think it's made me more grateful about having water and it's made me more aware of my decisions and choices of like not showering for too long or like flushing a couple times for like the irrigation. So yeah, so it's definitely made me more aware of my actions and made me more connected to even water, like seeing water here. I'm like, oh, like this is crazy, and like, so I think that's my experience. I've just become more aware of my decisions and my choices here in El Paso, and the impact that we're all making here, and I hope that reflects in our work as well. So yeah.
Ivan, you can throw it. You
Oh, I
can throw
throw
that.
it. I can't throw that well, so I'm a dancer, not a.
Wait, Mari.
Or, yeah,
Hello.
somebody from UTEP can speak after Mari. Yes.
Hi. I hope everyone can hear me. My name is Mari. I'm from Wesleyan University. And I think that my experience, so far has been really, really informative. I think that I have always felt strongly about arts being related to activism and bringing awareness to the issues that we face in our world, because I think that like facts can only do so much, but when you see people truly connecting and sharing their experiences, especially through like the corporeal body and like using that sort of energy to express frustrations or sadness and like just raising awareness, I think that that's so important and vital because it creates connection, and through connection I think change can truly prosper. And I think that for me, coming to the desert, it's not my first time I've been to the desert in Colorado and Utah and New Mexico, but I think that there's a strong difference because through that, when I was visiting there, I did a lot of backpacking, but here I'm like, and that was a connection to the nature, but I think here in El Paso, I'm truly meeting the people, and I think that that's such a like, it has shown me how I don't know, vital, um like living with the land is, and maintaining that connection with the desert, but also ensuring that people have access to water to be able to thrive here. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that it's super important that we're here. And I don't know, building kind of relations with the East Coast. I don't know. It's been very special for me, and I'm grateful that you guys have welcomed us into your community. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
From UTEP who's been with us, how would you answer that question? What have you learned?
Okay, well, hello. My name is Eric. I'm a student here at UTEP. This collaboration has been such a great experience for me. Um, it has kind of made me more accountable to the way I use water. And I have also gotten to explore areas in El Paso that I have never been to. So it was kind of like a great moment to really establish my presence here in my hometown, and just getting to collaborate with different people from all over the world and their different point of view on this issue has really just opened my mind to bigger possibilities.
Diana.
Go, and then we're gonna go to you, Michelle.
Yeah.
You didn't give it to me, though. He's gonna go ask Diana, and then we're gonna go to Michelle.
Well, hi, my name is Yana. I'm also a UTEP student. Um, I think for me, it's been like an eye-opening, because I live also in Juarez. So seeing the pictures, I mean, and also like because I visit a lot of the Yanapra area. So I don't know, it's been mesmerizing to know a lot of it, but at the same time, I felt so bad that I didn't knew these things, you know? Um, I also noticed how important it is for us to connect with different people, even though we might think coming from a different area, you cannot understand the problems. But if you really open yourself and your ideas to try to solve like the conflict, try to solve things to get a, I don't know, a better outcome for everyone. It's very important, very like sensational. And yeah, I mean, it's been a great experience. I'm grateful for the opportunity and for sharing the space, the ideas, the amount of knowledge. It's been incredible. Yeah.
A little bit of both, if that's fine. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicolas Silva. I go by Nico. I'm a climate fellow for the city of El Paso. So if you want to take a survey, if you're in El Paso, I'm here. Uh, I'm also a proud collaborator with Dr. Melissa Melpiano in the first performance studies class that she taught. That for me was a very critical point of my PhD in interdisciplinary health sciences, where we use performance to understand, like she said, memories, celebrations, uh, horrible things that have happened because of water, like drowning, things like that. But also celebrations like, you know, the indigenous ways of knowing about water. And I guess I wanted to invite everyone to obviously go to the performance because why are we here? But second of all, to hire and support artists as agents of change and communicators because as a scientist or at least as a working research assistant, you know, it's labor to do science, but not necessarily everyone is like, oh, let me go read some Nature and pay $25 for this paper. But they might be more informed by, oh, wow, that person is dancing and they're showing me how to use water in a different way, or they're showing me like how to utilize water such that it's utilized to its full potential and conserving. So one of my issue areas is conservation of water and conservation of natural resources, like soil and things like that. And I really invite everyone to think of artists not only as artists, but as communicators, as meta cognitive kind of beings and people that can have non-ordinary and extraordinary consciousness. Uh, and I just really just appreciate everyone that's here, including the International Water Boundary, Mark, and everyone that really is committed to a better future. So I guess my question is, could you all maybe talk about the process of choreography, maybe as a as a professor of dance versus maybe in this community responsive, community engaged dance that speaks about environment and things like that?
Hello. Yes, that was a perfect segue into this. We I'm the artistic director of Mountain Movement, and so we've been very lucky to participate in this process with Melissa and Allison. And I come from a place of using movement to connect. We connect with our own bodies, connect with other people, connect with our environment. And I was lucky to join them in their field work and their research. And we were at the Water Improvement District 1, which is talks about, or they do the work of bringing water to the farmers here. And we used that process to develop our movement. So we broke it down, they broke it down, and we broke it down into 5 different stages of the water. And then we made a movement for each stage. So we started with the snow melt. Then we went to the reservoir to Elephant Butte. By the way, it's only 12% full right now. So, and it's been very, very low for quite some time. So this is a big issue here. From Elephant Butte, it goes into other diversion dams, then gets down to the canals, and then it finally goes out to the farmlands, to the irrigation. And so we, using this movement that we developed, we also, it's accessible to everybody. It's a way of connecting to how our water gets from one place to another. And it's a way of using movement. I think humans, we are all made to move, and it will help us connect to how people work on getting water and how water flows. Marina also has is part of, we're having a reunion with Mountain Movement. She now works with Allison with Forklift, but she also started Mountain Movement when she lived here in El Paso. Woo, woo, woo. So we're coming together. Marina, if you want to hop on up, and I invite everybody to stand up, and we will share this movement with you. Yes, whatever your body needs and can handle, um, um, be kind to your bodies. Okay, I'll try to do this. Yes. So the first stage of getting water here is getting the snow in Colorado. So our first stage is the snow melt. So if you want to follow Marina, arms start up, and snow melts down. Yes, let's do it again. Arms up, snow melt. Beautiful. One more time just to get it in. And up, snow melt. Beautiful. And the second stage is the reservoir. So that's Elephant Butte. So we are collecting the reservoir. Yes, lovely. Again, and reservoir. One more time, reservoir. Lovely. And let's put them together. Let's start with our snow melt. Snow melt, reservoir. Yes. Then it moves into other diversion dams. So for this one, we whoosh. Yes, diversion dams. I add a whoosh because it feels good. Take it or leave it. So from your reservoir, dams. Again, from your reservoir, dams. One more time. This is beautiful. And dams. Yes, let's go from our snow melt. From the top, snow melt, reservoir, dams. From the dams, it goes into smaller canals. So for this, it's like we're bringing the water into a smaller space. Yes, Marina, will you demonstrate again, please? If you really want to get the whole body, but the arms are collecting water and bringing it into the canal. Is the idea. Yes? So we did, sure, from snow melt. Snow melt, whoo. Reservoir, dams, canals. Yes. Let's repeat canals a couple of times to get that in our body. So canals. One more time. Canals. Lovely. And from the canals, it gets out to the farmlands. You have irrigation. So for that, Marina, we spread the water. Yes. Yes. One more time. And irrigation. Again, I'm a dancer. One more time doesn't really mean one more time. And irrigation. Yes. All right. Now let's put all of those stages together. So from your snow melt, reservoir, dams, canals, irrigation. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And this will be demonstrated and expanded upon on Thursday. Yes.
Thank you so much, Michelle, Mountain Movement, Marina, Nati, and Rocio, the Mountain Movement members. Our session ends here. Thank you so much for participating, renovating the invite to join us on Thursday, March 20, 6:30, San Jacinto Plaza. You'll have a chance also to repeat this movement if you want there. We are here around if you want to keep talking to us, and we'll there's a break now. There's coffee there. You're welcome to take it. Water. Please help yourselves. Thank you so much, Alison. Thank you so much, Mark, for being here. I don't know if you want to say some final words, but I'm done. Follow us.
Well, I can speak loud. I brought a couple books. One is by Steve Mummy, a professor out of Colorado State University. He talks about our agency from the Water Treaty from 1944, where we became the International Boundary and Water Commission. And I don't get any royalties, but my book on my master's thesis is in here on UTEP and the New Deal projects of what we did here.
Alison is not going to promote her own book, but Alison or publish a book called Dance Works, which is both the works of dance, but also dance works, stories of collaborative, creative collaboration, which shares her methodology and experiences of working with experts that are not necessarily professional dancers.
Thank you, Melissa. And look at our amazing partners from this week here on the screen, and we'd love for you to follow them. And just special thanks to Mark for hosting us today and this week, and to Michelle and Mountain Movement, the UTEP Chorale who's participating, and of course the amazing Melissa Melpiano. Woohoo! We'll see you Thursday.